Good evening. We're here for the September 10th, 2024 Planning Commission. It's wonderful to see so many people here. We wish you all would come to other meetings. So we're going to start with just reviewing the agenda. Is there anything to add to the agenda?
Well, let's roll call.
Roll call. Okay, we'll start with roll call.
All right. Stiles.
Here.
Zaremski.
Here.
DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Osterholm.
Here.
Also present is Planning and Zoning Administrator Meg Leatherman and Village Solicitor Amy Blankenship.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, so now we're going to review the agenda. Anything to add? If not, I move we approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Okay, we also have our consent agenda to approve. I move approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Consent agenda is approved.
Communications.
Okay, you need to review the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to look at the minutes. Does anybody have any changes, corrections to the minutes? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
The minutes have been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, the minutes have been approved. Under communications, we have 4 letters. We have one from Berkey Shaw, opposition to the rezoning request. We have one from Eric Clark on complaints regarding Spring Glen Fischer homes. We have one from Matt Raska on the support for diverse housing stock. And we have one at the table from Lynn Hardman about soccer fields. And then we have, Meg has an housing update, and I think what we're going to do, if it's okay with everybody, we're going to put that to our next meeting to discuss, because we have a full agenda. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then we'll do that. Okay, then we have our council and committee reports. Anything from active transportation?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Council, anything from council? Gavin?
I think the short answer is not really. Yeah, I mean, there's continued conversation around the low-income housing tax credit stuff. It's, comes up tonight, but there hasn't been anything notable to my knowledge.
Okay, and we don't have a house committee, so.
Yeah, so we were kind of supplementing not having the housing committee with my report. So we'll talk about that next month.
Okay. Okay, well, we have 3 public hearings, and our process is we're going to have citizens' comments first. Citizens' comments are for anything that we're not having a public hearing about. If you want to come forward, you need to tell us your name, and you can speak for 3 minutes. When we have our public hearings, we're going to give everyone a chance who wants to speak on those, and the same process, that people will come forward, state their name, and they'll have 3 minutes to speak. So we're going to start with citizens' comments. Is there anybody who has something just in general they want to talk about that's not one of our public hearings?
I think this is the time.
Yes. Could somebody hand her the microphone, if somebody wouldn't mind? And if you'll introduce yourself and then 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me all right?
I don't think it's
Is it on?
not on.
Okay, he says it's working on the audio side.
It's really for the television, for the folks at home.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kaya Lucas, sister of Shia Fields, I just wanted to come down here and let you know of her recent passing this morning. We're going to have something for her at Newcomer later on next week. She loved Yellow Springs, so I thought I'd come down here and say a few words on her behalf and let you know that everything's going to be all right. We all made it. Now, something she wanted to do before she died, she wanted to give Yellow Springs a senior citizen center that they could be proud of, with an Olympic pool, barracks, a soup kitchen, a chapel, a head shop, a beauty school, a beauty shop, a barber shop, everything for after school for the kids, like a Y, and all that good stuff. So I'm here to make sure that all gets done. I got plenty of money coming. I'm the one the world's waiting on to just play things off. I have to do things this way. There's 4 of us. Marcus, please, and he's Moses, you know, he parts to Wright St. And then there's Shia Fields, marriage. And then there's Chaya Lavelle, adopted. And then there's me, maiden, Kaya Lucas. And that's all I'll say about that. But all I need to know is who I write the check to get this up and going. Would like to have that be the sepulcher of heaven on earth and have that built no later than January the 6th.
Thank you very much, and I'm very sorry about the passing of your sister.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that has any general comments you want to make? Okay, then we will close that part. And so we come to our first public hearing, which is the final plat for Spring Meadows project. And Meg, would you like to talk first?
Sure, thank you. Hi, Meg Leatherman, Planning and Zoning Administrator. Yeah, this is a final plat application for Phase 2 of the Spring Meadows Subdivision located at 402 North Wright Street, directly behind Phase 1, which I put a vicinity map up. So what's highlighted is Phase 2. In front of that is Phase 1. The Planning Commission is the recommending body for this application, and after a decision is made, the application will be heard by the council. The property is currently in the RB zone, and the preliminary plat was approved in 2022 for 90 single-family dwellings, which was divided into 2 phases. And this would be the final phase, and it consists of 34 single-family homes. I believe Mike Lewis is here tonight to speak for it, or Kirk Ridder potentially could be out there representing the owners, Spring Meadows Project 1 LLC. Adjoining, and this is a housekeeping item, adjoining property owners were mailed a notice on August 27th, 2024. Yard signs were posted on the property August 29th, 2024, and a notice was published in the paper on August 30th, 2024. I prepared a staff report based on the applicable code and provided a copy of that to the Planning Commission, and we posted it on our website on September 5th. So again, this is the final plat for Phase 2. 35 lots, 34 of them will be single-family homes, 1 open space lot for 7.51 acre, for a total size, for the project size of 7.51 acres. The open space is 0.5 acres. Primarily, the most active recreational and active open space uses is located in Phase 1. Phase 1, where they dedicated a park to the village, as well as meandering paths throughout the open space areas in Phase 1. All the lots are in compliance with the dimensional standards for the RB zone, except for one requested variation. And this same variation was approved for Phase 1, and it allows a setback of not fewer than 5 feet on each side for a side yard setback for specifically eve encroachment. So again, that's the side yard setback relief varying from the RB zoning standards. At this point in the process, the design is set. All the public improvements have been constructed and are in Phase 2. They're connecting to Phase 1. Engineering has been approved by who we use as our village engineer, Choice 1, as well as the Public Works Department, so village staff has approved it. The main point of the final plat process at this phase is just to ensure that the engineering has been completed and that it is all up to code, which it is. So I basically recommend approval and have 2 conditions of approval that I'm recommending, and I'll read those now. So the first one is variation to allow a side yard setback of 5 feet minimum, 10 feet total for eve encroachment. And then the second one is that Lot 59 be maintained by the homeowners association. And so I'll stand for any questions.
Anyone have a question for Meg? Okay.
I mean, I'll ask one, I guess. So we got the letter about the, communication with the builder / homeowner association / whatever. I guess I just wondered if you had any take on that. It seemed reasonable, the idea that it would be nice to have some point of clarity on these things, and I just wondered if you read that and had any perspective.
Yeah, I did read it, and is someone here to speak to it? Okay. I'll just say that I have discussed with Mike Lewis with DDC, and we do plan on setting up a meeting with Fischer Homes. I believe most of that is up to the Fischer Homes' responsibility at this point in process, but I'll let, are you Kirk?
I'm Ross.
Oh, okay. Oh, Ross, hi. We've emailed, but.
Yeah, Mike Lewis, myself, Kirk Ridder, all
Okay.
on the same development,
Okay.
same company. So, no, I read Mr. Clark's.
Introduce yourself, please.
Sorry, Ross Bainfeld with DDC Management, developer of Spring Meadows. So I read Mr. Clark's email on the way up here, and these are certainly common issues that we run into as a developer, especially when the subdivision's in its infancy. So it's just getting started. You're just getting the homeowners association ramped up, and there's parties involved that 5 years from now you won't have. So you hear about a developer, you hear about a home builder, an HOA, and the city, and everybody's trying to figure out who does what. So I can appreciate the questions that Mr. Clark had, and certainly are questions that I've answered in other subdivisions previously. But his first item in regards to trash in the pond, it's a challenge with windblown trash coming from new home construction sometimes. That's part of it, but more importantly, he can always reach out to his home builder and give them a heads up, but really if he contacts the HOA manager company that Mike and I hired to manage the day-to-day business would contact Mike and I, and we can quarterback that problem. Either designating that to the home builder to pick up their garbage. More importantly, we do have, touched on one of the next items, there is a pond maintenance contractor who has already taken over that responsibility on behalf of the homeowners association. So that company manages water quality, but they're also out on a weekly basis to look at that. But while they're there, they do remove trash, not always to the expectations that everyone might like, and that's where Mike and I can certainly assist. As you get further down the road and we have less construction debris, that becomes less of a problem.
So,
But go ahead.
Can I just throw out just a suggestion? On some level, my question was sort of, could these things be addressed? And it sounds like you have answers to some of them. Is it reasonable that we would say, if it feels necessary to others to go through them line by line, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but could we say, hey, can you work together to make the one-pager that answers the questions and then communicate, and we don't need to do it all here? It's just an idea.
Yeah, we could respond to the letter and give you contact names and numbers for all that.
Certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, and it sounds like he had a contact for the homeowners association, for our management company that represents himself as well as us, which is good. The last part of it speaks to maybe some communication breakdown there, which Mike and I weren't privy to. But yes, everything on his list are things that are either already being taken care of or will be, or things that he and I can take care of anytime.
So who is it then they should be contacting when there are problems?
I would always recommend reaching out to their homeowner association.
The homeowner association.
Yep, absolutely. So we've hired Omni community managers who manages that day-to-day business, pays the bills, keeps the irrigation on, the entry lighting, pays our pond contractor. Before too long, they'll be paying a landscaping contractor to make sure landscaping beds are clean and grass is mowed. But in the short term, Mike and I serve on that homeowners association board just to make sure that the business of the HOA is getting taken care of all the time. So he and I are ultimately get those questions.
Okay.
And then I'll just say, Gavin, just along your question, I did email back to Eric after I got that and told him that he could also contact me anytime if he's not sure who to contact. And then I would tell him, I mean, anyone can enter, I'm hopefully very approachable and can help solve problems for anyone in the community.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there other things that you're wanting to address at this point?
No, that's it. Just answer any further questions you guys have.
Great. And does that answer your questions, Gavin? Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Meg?
Yeah, I just wanted to double check so the lot that's identified as the, parkland dedication, I don't see it on the map. I didn't see it identified.
Which map are you looking at?
Well, this one, which is sort of small.
Actually, I think I have it. I can pull it up.
But I'm assuming,
It is in phase 1. It's right here.
well, there was one in phase 1.
Yeah.
Is it that 57?
Yes.
Yeah, but then here, what's also identified as lot number 94 is additionally, this is a response to one of your responses is a finding that the required parkland dedication area is lot 94. And is the shape and topography sufficient for usability as the lots are wide enough and flat
Got it up
enough?
there here. The corner right there.
Okay, I wasn't able to see it. So it's that long,
It's a strip that goes.
yeah, it's a long, narrow lot. Okay, that's what I assumed. I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
But I assume due to the shape and all, it'll just sort of be an open space as opposed to anything actually being
It's
done in
mostly
it.
wooded. I would expect it to
Yeah.
probably remain that way
Right.
based on where it is in
Right,
people's
okay.
backyards. Yeah.
That's just what I wanted to double check.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Do you or the other person want to have anything else to say at this point?
No, not unless you guys have any questions.
Okay. Then thank you.
Yep.
Then we'll go ahead with the public hearing. So anybody who wants to come forward and speak, if you'll come to the microphone, tell us your name, and you have 3 minutes.
You have something, but where I'm at. My name is Guy Glass. I moved into this subdivision down here. I moved in from Westchester, about a month ago. And this town is great. It is so different. And what I'm trying to do is set a warning to you guys. If you keep on expanding, this expansion that you're looking for right now, I know it's already done, it's fine. But if you keep on moving these lots out and growing in there, I hate to say this, but you're going to get different people in. It's going to change this community. The community I came from was Westchester. For an example, we had a walking path. People do not move. I mean, when the drivers, they turn right or left, they come right at you. They really don't care that much. But around here, I noticed how polite people are, driving-wise, while I'm out walking, They know I'm here. They're just very courteous. You don't see this in other neighborhoods. And what I'm really trying to say is you need to preserve that. And by this growing and keep on, growing developments like this town is going to change. And I don't think that you'll be happy with the way it's going to turn out. I've lived it. I know. This is a great community, and it needs to be preserved. and you're not going to preserve it this way. That's, in my opinion, okay? So, and that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Musical chairs over here for a little bit. Hi, my name is Eric Clark. I'm now the first resident that showed up out there at Fischer Homes Development. And I just wanted to say, thank you for addressing the letter that I had sent. And I did that because there is an awful lot of confusion. Like, for example, they finally put these beautiful fountains into the pond for aeration, and that's going to really help the fish that we stocked for that thing. But we haven't been able to find out why there's no internal communication, not just with the people moving in, but when I told what I call the red shirts out there, who are the project managers, that the pond was finally had the fountain, they were stunned. They had no idea. So there's a whole lot of aspects from development to Fischer Homes to the HOA, and the HOA, on a couple occasions, I did manage to talk to a real person, and they actually were not too sure who was supposed to be responsible for some of the aspects of that. And so I just wanted to know, like, if we had some sort of emergency, like with the new fountains in there, they needed to be shut off for some reason, what would be our emergency plan for these kind of things? So I think that's something that would be nice if the residents could somehow, that information could trickle down to us somehow. But you're saying for now, just the HOA?
Right now, you are addressing just Planning Commission and the
Oh,
chair.
yeah, sorry. Go this way. So if we are supposed to just address the HOA, then I'm hoping that if we do have any issues, that maybe planning would help us just in these early phases while we try and figure things out. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone else?
My name is Laura Olson, and I'm a resident of Yellow Springs, and sorry, I'm a bit quiet. So I don't have personal experience with trying to move into one of the new Spring Meadows homes, but I am familiar with, I have acquaintances who have told me about their personal experience. And I would say that, especially as, hearkening back to what a comment that was made earlier about as Yellow Spring expands, it's really difficult for first-time home buyers to afford these homes, and the base price, which maybe that's what you're looking at when you're trying to plan, well, who can afford these homes and everything. The base price is not actually the real price, because then when you go in to start consulting how to design your home, just to have electrical wiring, to have lights in your home, that is an extra cost. And never mind all the other things that, to have a ceiling fan is an extra cost. I mean, really basic things that you would take for granted as, oh, this is what comes with a home. I was very surprised about the electrical wiring one being an extra cost. And it makes it so that then people have to pull out or reassess, because what the base price was is no longer within their means. And that's how you're going to really, in my opinion, really, it's going to change the population of Yellow Springs, and it's going to change what the experience and what it's like to live in Yellow Springs as we run into that issue with developers and with expansion. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we will close the public hearing on the final plat. Any other discussion with the commission? If not, what we are doing is recommending approval to council with the two conditions. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion that we pass this with the 2 conditions.
I'll second.
And let's say the 2 conditions are the variation to allow the side yard setback of 5 feet minimum, 10 feet total, only for eve encroachment, and 2, lot 59 will be maintained by the homeowner association. So it's been moved and seconded. Judy?
Yes. DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Osterholm.
Yes.
Zaremski.
Yes.
Stiles.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the conditional use application. And this is for the Yellow Springs Exempted Village School District, has submitted a conditional use application for renovation and expansion of the middle high school at 420 East Enon. Meg, would you like to?
All right. Thanks. All right, this is a conditional use for the Yellow Springs School District located at 420 East Enon, like she just said. The property is in the RA zone and the Gateway zone, and a school use requires a conditional approval by the Planning Commission. In this instance, the Planning Commission is the final decision maker for this application. Sorry, you have to say it when you come up, I'm sorry. Richley? Who would have thought? Richley Architects is the applicant and represented by Brian Conners, and Terry Holden is the superintendent of the school district, and they're both here tonight and can speak to the application. Adjoining property owners were mailed a notice on August 27th, 2024. Yard signs were posted on the property on August 29th, 2024, and a notice was published in the paper August 30th, 2024. A staff report was prepared that outlines the applicable village code, which was provided to the Planning Commission and posted to our website on September 5th. Start out with, the school has been located on the property since 1963 and is considered a non-conforming use. The code does not allow for an expansion of a non-conforming use, and since the school plans to enlarge the building area, a conditional use and an accompanied site plan application was required to be submitted for that expansion. And then I have the easiest way to I think this graphic was potentially the easiest to tell the existing. It's not really showing up the whole thing, but the plan is to demolish parts of the existing McKinney Middle School and High School, and then also 2 new additions to be constructed on the north side. So on the north end here, the blue on the north side, and then the east side of the buildings. And then the remaining demolish part of it, keep part of the building, do additions on the north and east, and then a completely new building on the south that has that kind of Y-looking piece that will be attached and contiguous to the existing remaining building, but is technically considered a new building. I'm sure that the architect can explain that better if need be, but I find the visual very helpful. But the ending total gross floor area would be 1,110 square feet, so over 100,000 square feet.
So it's more than double in size.
Yes, it's about doubling in size with the 54,000 square feet existing and then 104,000 square feet now. Also, as part of the project, a new one-way driveway will be installed to focus traffic flow through the site. The parking lot to the north will be slightly modified, and a new row of parking added along the new driveway near the main entrance. So there's a lot of applicable code criteria that, again, is in my staff report, and I can speak to different pieces of it. If you guys have questions, I just plan on highlighting some of the key review standards and how they comply, or what conditions were needed to ensure compliance. But feel free to ask questions if I don't cover a piece that you find interesting or want more information on. First of all, schools, churches, and other structures are exempt from height restrictions in the village code. The height of the gym is proposed to be 36 feet and 8 inches. The base zoning allows for 35 feet, but the school is a little bit over that, but the code exempts it, so there's nothing we need to do different with that. Should I keep going?
Yeah, go ahead. So for you folks, that's number 6 on the recommendations. So you can strike that if you're thinking ahead there.
Where it has conditions for approval, 6, and we would remove the 6th one.
So one of the review standards requires that the natural landscape be preserved as much as possible. And in reviewing the landscape plan, all of the trees that could be preserved have been. Those being removed are removed just in order to do construction or expand the building. The architect did a review of the existing trees on the project area. There's 78 trees existing, and in the end, after construction, there'll be 110 trees provided. There are several standards in the code that relate to internal and external pedestrian circulation. The present site plan that was submitted to us didn't indicate that the sidewalk along East Enon would be improved. So I recommend that. I did talk to the school district about this. They indicated that they did plan on improving the sidewalk along that, but specifically from the southern border of the ESC building along East Enon to the most southern border of the school property. So I'm suggesting, since it's not reflected in the application material, that we do a condition to just verify and document it. Also, as part of this application, modifications to the vehicular and bicycle parking requirements are included as part of this review. So as you know, we have bicycle and parking spot criteria. As part of this review, they're requesting a reduction in that, and I'll just highlight it briefly. Total vehicular parking the applicant provides is 164 in this plan, and they're divided between 2 different areas. Today, the site provides 162 parking spaces, so with modifications and moving around spaces, they're still going to have the same number, just 2 more. So basically, the existing parking lot to the north is going to be reconfigured because of the building addition on the north. They have to kind of move some parking spaces further east. And then there's going to be a single row parking lot along the new driveway. This is the new driveway entrance, one way. And this right here is the single row of parking that's proposed near the main entrance. And that has 27 spaces. There's 27 there, and then 143 in the northern parking lot for a total of 164 spaces.
And so I think you said that they were required to have more, but because it had to do with the, auditorium or something?
Yeah, I feel
reducing it.
I felt comfortable recommending the Planning Commission to approve the modification. Of course, it's up to you, but just because of one component of it, that the parking standards require so many spaces based on it being like a gymnasium, but it's also grouped in the same with like an auditorium or a theater. And then this being a school, maybe I would say it's probably not used as heavily as like a true theater that has people coming in constantly, filling it up to full capacity. Also, the code outlines specific reasons for when you can allow a reduction of parking. One being that they have, one being that they have provided adjacent on-street parking and that they have bicycle and pedestrian access internally, and I think that this meets all 3 of those criteria.
Okay.
And then the second piece of this was the bicycle parking, and this was a newer code amendment that we recently took forward. And reading the code fully, it says that there's supposed to be 34 bike racks installed, and the applicant is proposing 26. And I feel confident in that with the same reasons for the vehicle parking. I think that suffices for the, and they're actually, for the bicycle parking exception, there isn't any criteria. It just says the Planning Commission may waive it or reduce it.
And so that's provides for 26 bicycles, or does it provide for additional?
It's actually two bikes per rack, so it's
Okay.
52.
Oh,
Typical bicycles, but then trikes, trailers, stuff like that,
Sure.
tandems, it takes up more space.
All right, one other standard I wanted to highlight was screening. There are several standards that relate to screening non-residential uses from residential properties. Specifically, standard 1262.08C1B. It reads that all outdoor activity, parking areas, and recreational spaces shall be screened from adjacent property in any residential district. So for the outdoor play area to the south, they are screening to, you can see I don't know if you guys know how to read these very well or not, but it says outdoor field play area, and there is screening provided to the south-ish, but in reading the full letter of the code, technically they're supposed to have some also on the east side. I guess I would like to hear from the applicant on that aspect potentially, if they had thoughts on that. But I put it as a condition of approval to meet the letter of the code.
okay.
And then finally, Miami Township Fire and Rescue has reviewed and approved the site plan for emergency access, and our engineer, Choice One, and Public Works Department, they've been working with the school district on fine-tuning some of the engineering requirements for potential modifications for water, sewer, and electric. And Choice One provided a review comment letter that's in the packet, and they also stated, though, that they're all things that could be worked out after this approval. They're comfortable with moving forward the conditional use and just requiring it before building permits are approved to be completely satisfied, and that's in the packet. And I think that's mainly all I wanted to cover. I have the 5 conditions of approval that I can read through.
Go ahead.
Okay. First one, prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy, improve the sidewalk along East Enon Road to a minimum width of 5 feet from south of Greene County ESC property to the southern boundary of the school property. Second one, prior to building permit submittal, it probably should say actually approval. I don't think we can control submittal, but
Okay, approval.
prior to building permit approval, obtain final approval from the village engineer and public works department. And then I put 3, then this one's for provide 164 vehicular parking spaces. That is just to kind of document that we're allowing that reduction. So if that doesn't go that way, then that would be, needs to be changed.
You need to throw the word in, motor vehicle. Doesn't the code differentiate now? I don't
I
know.
put vehicular. I think that's good enough.
Okay, that's
Vehicular.
fine.
And then the 4th one is provide 26 bicycle racks.
Yeah.
And then 5th, and this one, provide landscaping screening to the east of the outdoor play field.
Are there questions for Meg at this point?
Well, I have questions. I don't know if they're necessarily for Meg or for, maybe I bring them up, but if Meg can't
Why don't
answer
you bring
them.
them up?
Okay. My question, I have a variety of questions. They all have to do with parking. First, I want to say I'm just thrilled, as many might imagine, seeing the bicycle parking incorporated. This is the first case that the new zoning revision is being implemented. A general thing I'm wondering is because the addition to the school, and things are a little more shoehorned in than they've been in the past. And I'm just curious that, let's just say in 10 years, there's an increase in enrollment, and we actually need more car parking spaces, 20 or 25 more spaces. Is there a thought of like where you could actually put it? I mean, as I look at this map, it looks like, in the very southeast corner is possible. Is there, I'm seeing nodding that could be.
We'll let them discuss that when they come up.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But then, The other thing I just wanted to sort of check is, back when there were the community forums on this in the elementary school gym, I remember there was a little bit of discussion that I brought up, and then further discussion about the value of having some bike racks in the vicinity of where the athletic field is. But I'm assuming that since there's no changes to that area, that's not, part of the plan, because that's sort of out of scope of this project. And I just was, once again, the point I brought up is, especially on bicycles, people will end up parking their bikes right when they're ready to become a pedestrian, and they'll lock it up against the fences as opposed to put a bike in the front. But I'm looking at this and thinking, there's no changes to that area, so it strikes me that that might be once again, out of scope of what you're doing. I just thought it'd be interested in somebody just addressing that or talking about that.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Then would somebody from the school like to come and talk to us? And maybe you can address Carrie's issues about the bicycles and parking and car parking.
Good evening, Terry Holden, Superintendent of Yellow Springs Schools. So I want to thank you, and I'll address your questions, Gary, and then any I can't address. I do have my project architects here, as well as our construction manager, Conger Construction, here to answer any questions. But first, I just want to put a thank you out there. And that is to all of the residents of the school district and their support for what we know is a tremendously heavy lift. I think we all know that improvements to our facilities have been a long time in coming. And I think, I know both buildings are going to be beautiful, and hopefully will be places and spaces that the community can feel like are the heart of Yellow Springs. The site under discussion tonight, our secondary site at 420 East Enon, it is undergoing about a $42 million renovation. So you are going to see some tremendous changes. So I just want to thank everyone, and I would ask that the Planning Commission approve our conditional use request, because this is the next step in the process for us. I'm going to answer your questions, Gary, and then the real experts can answer questions. In terms of bike parking by the stadium, you are right, that is not in the scope of our project. Yeah. However, that is another project, and I think that bike parking there makes sense. It's an absolutely legitimate request, and I think that's something we can do outside of this.
Okay, great.
Your first question was about parking?
Just parking. More vehicular parking in the future if it's needed.
There will be, at least kind of currently, some open land on the south end. I will say that it's not our intention to put lots of parking. And one reason parking is on here as a conditional use is that as part of our lead application process, there's a line item that says reduce parking footprint. So it's this push-pull between what's the code and what are the lead requirements. But yes. So, and I can entertain questions, or the architects, or the construction manager, Nate.
Does anyone have questions for Terry? If not, well,
I have one. I'm not sure if this is,
Okay.
well, if you're doing improvements, you're doing improvements on the high school too, is that correct?
On the
high school too?
This is for the high school site.
Okay. being a graduate of Yellow Springs High School, and anyone that's ever graduated Yellow Springs High School, my question is, are we ever going to put an air conditioning in that gymnasium?
You know, we are
Some
going to
sort of
have,
airflow?
so the current gymnasium will be actually our grade 5-6 gymnasium, but it will be a new performing arts space, a new auditorium that will absolutely indeed have air conditioning, and the new gymnasium will absolutely indeed have air conditioning.
Because during our graduation, I was dying.
I feel your pain.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Okay, I think we're ready for your...
I don't have any questions, but just to say congratulations on being here. Yeah, thanks for saying thanks to the community, and I know it's been a long road, so that's all.
Thank you.
One of the experts want to come up and say anything they want to?
Hello, my name is Mike Richley with Richley Architects, and it's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I don't really have anything to add other than we're really excited about this project, as well as Mills Lawn, which isn't on the agenda for tonight, but we're excited about both. This is going to be a significant transformation of this building. The existing building truly will not be recognizable when we're done, and I don't have a way to show you this tonight, but I do have unless there's an HDMI, I have a full digital spin around if anyone has interest. I know with some of these site plans and floor plans, and it's a little hard to know what the building's going to look like, but happy to share any of the kind of 3D imagery we have of it as well.
Okay, great. Any questions for him while he's up here?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion before our public hearing? Okay, then we will go ahead and open up our public hearing for the conditional use application. So anybody who would like to speak, please come forward, tell us your name, and you get to speak for 3 minutes or less.
Hi, I'm Jackie Hempling, resident. So, of course, there's not currently really screening on the east side, and I guess I wouldn't see any need for it. I know that a lot of these conditions were just following the letter of the code, so just here to speak against, I guess, adopting all of these conditions if they're not really necessary and would cause any hardship. And then, 26 bicycle parking racks for up to 52 bikes is considerably more than certainly people were biking to school when I attended the Yellow Springs High School by like a lot. And then, similarly, if the lead standard is that they want to reduce parking, that's certainly a lot of parking spaces out there as well, and we wouldn't, I think, want to push them away from those standards. And I guess in general, on all of those questions, I would just be inclined to defer to the wisdom of the school district to decide those things most wisely, since they're closest to those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if there are no other comments, then we will close the public hearing. Any questions?
Well, I guess that was just a reminder. Meg, you had asked about the east of the outdoor playfield screening, and I don't know if you all want to say anything about that, or is it a...
Sure, go ahead.
Is that okay to ask? I don't know.
I think we were surprised, so if it's what we have to do, we'll do it. That play area, just so you know, that Y thing is part of the new building. So it's our academic wing, and so what's in the center of that is our commons, cafeteria. And so outside of that, we're going to have a 4-square and then 2 half-court basketball courts for our students at lunch. And so that's what that play area is. I'm not quite sure what we would put, but I think we could discuss that. But
I mean, I'll just throw in my 2 cents. It strikes me that with the open field play next to it, I mean, the idea of putting more screening in, it doesn't strike me as a big deal.
You don't think it's necessary?
I don't know what other people
I
think.
think I would agree with that, too.
And I'll just add that I put it on there more of like a discussion item. I also wasn't sure like practically if it made most sense, but I knew it was a letter of the code, and so would need the commission to weigh in on it.
I think do I have the sense that everybody's okay with them not screening that area?
This would be removing item 5?
No.
No?
No, they would still have the screening that's, you can see up there, but they wouldn't have it on the other side.
But you're saying we would actually have to change 5 to be proactively saying not necessary to provide it because it's in the code?
To the east side. So we would need to
Just strike it. Just strike.
Oh, we could just strike it?
Yeah, because the architectural drawing shows screening on the south.
And then what I'll do is I'll just document it. I update the staff report after the hearing based on the comments and decision you make. And then I put that in the record and I send it to the applicant and the owners so everyone's on the same page.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. So we're removing number 5, so now there's just 4 conditions. Okay, anything else? Would somebody like to move approval of the conditional use and go over the conditions?
So moved.
Okay. With the conditions 1 through 4 prior to issuance of the certificate of occupancy, improve the sidewalk along East Enon Road to the minimum width of 5 feet from the south of Greene County ESC property to the southern boundary of the school property. 2, prior to building permit approval, obtain final approval from the village engineer, choice 1. And 3, provide 164 vehicular parking spaces, and 4, provide 26 bicycle parking racks. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Judy?
Zaremski.
Yes.
Osterholm.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Stiles.
Yes. Okay, it's been approved. Congratulations. Okay, we will move on to our last public hearing, and really our last piece of business, which is the zoning map amendment to rezone. The Yellow Springs Exempted School District has submitted a zoning map amendment application to amend the Village of Yellow Springs official zoning district map to rezone 3.612 acres of property at 420 East Enon Road from low-density RA to high-density RC. May, would you like to?
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, this is a zoning map amendment or a rezone request submitted by the Yellow Springs School District located at 420 East Enon Road. As she said, it's in the RA and also the gateway zone. And the request is to rezone not the entire property, but 3.612 acres that was recently subdivision, a minor subdivision that was approved by me a couple weeks ago, and then on the consent agenda tonight, just to come full circle for you guys. The school board adopted a resolution to authorize the superintendent or treasurer-president to submit the application. They provided documentation of that. That's in the application material as well tonight. Adjoining property owners were mailed a notice on August 29th, 2024, published in the paper on August 30th, and sorry, I think I messed up the date. So adjoining property owners were mailed a notice on the 27th, August 27th. Signs were posted in the yard on the property on August 29th. The notice was published in the paper August 30th. I prepared a staff report based on the applicable code and provided it to the Planning Commission and online on our website on August 6th. So all of the application material that's required to be submitted has been submitted to the village. Currently, there is not a development plan for this property. The intent of it is to rezone the property to potentially prepare it for future applications. So changing it from RA to RC, I think the main focus being that the RC allows multifamily as outright, and so this is prepared. But I will say that there would be additional zoning applications once the details of the development is determined that would have to come back to public hearing, more than likely public hearing with this body. Depends on the specifics. There's a lot of different avenues it could go, so we can't say for sure what the process would be right now. But the intent would be to rezone it and prepare it for future applications, and specifically what we've been talking about a lot in the community and at the council level is affordable housing and preparing it to pursue a low-income housing tax credit project on this site. So again, no concept plan right now, but once one was prepared and they had a site plan, they would come forward again with applications. The request is in line with the comprehensive plan goals and priorities for housing and satisfies additional housing needs in the village for lower income brackets. So I'll go ahead and stand for any questions.
Questions for Meg?
I guess noting there's no conditions of approval for this one.
And this will be a recommendation that council approve this rezoning.
Right, so yeah, the commission is a recommending body again, so
Yes.
after this, it would move on to the council as a recommendation. Whenever you decide, the council would hear it again at a public hearing.
Okay?
Just to reiterate or clarify, so we're simply talking about rezoning of this property and not at all what may happen in the future to it, because as we've all read and have discussed and debated, there's a good half a dozen major hoops to jump through for one of the plans to come to fruition, but that's not at all what we're right now discussing.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, does the school want to say anything, or are you okay?
I think it might be Judith.
Judy, would you like to say something?
Hi, Judith Hempling, Yellow Springs School Board President. And if you've been reading the Yellow Springs News, you know that we were approached, I believe in May, by Home Inc., the advocacy group in town for affordable housing regarding this low-income housing tax credit and the fact that this land here has scored very high, which would have the possibility of the proposal application to be successful. And the school district does not do housing. However, we want to be partners in what's in the best interest of the community, as well as to note that this low-income housing is family housing, which would bring children into the district. As you probably also know, this land is currently being used as a rec soccer area, and I just want to let you know that our board member, Amy Bailey, is bringing a resolution to our Thursday meeting confirming our commitment to replace the rec soccer fields should we sell the Morgan fields for the LIHTC proposal. I think that's everything.
Okay.
If you have any questions, yeah.
Any questions for Judith while she's up here? Okay, thank you. Okay, then I think what we'll do is go ahead and open our public hearing. So again, I'm opening the public hearing. Anybody who wants to speak, come forward, state your name. You have 3 minutes or less to speak. So anybody who would like to come forward, please do.
Good evening, Yellow Springs Planning Commission and Yellow Springs community. I'm Terry Graves Streeter. I'm the superintendent at the Greene County ESC, where I've been the superintendent for 10 years, where I've worked for almost 30 years. Our maiden building, oh, and with me is Casey Mahaffey, our treasurer. A little wave there, Casey. Our main building is located at 360 East Enon. Of further note, we employ about 200 employees, and we provide an array of services and programs to the districts in Greene County. We recently, and I'm talking very recently, received information regarding the property at Morgan Fields that we're talking about right now, that it may be for sale. And we've given notice that we are interested in the property as potential buyers. So that said, I'm here tonight to express our desire to not have the property rezoned from low density to high density. While ESC houses many offices on one side of our building, we also run a learning center for students on the other side. We wish to have as much green space as possible on that side of the building so students can play and have outdoor activities. If we were able to purchase the property, we would consider putting a building on it in the future for our programs and departments with the intent of keeping green space for students, staff, and the community. The ESC is not in favor of any housing development, low density or high, going in the space next to our building. We believe this may cause issues with safety for the students whom we serve, as well as issues with traffic congestion for students, families, staff from both the ESC and Yellow Springs schools, as well as our neighbors. Further, the loss of acres of green land will be more than noticeable. As the closest neighbor to the property, we believe our voice should be heard. We hope the Yellow Springs Planning Commission will take this into consideration as you decide on this issue. I've brought some booklets. Can you wave? Give a little wave. About the ESC that I'll leave here tonight for those of you who don't know about what we do and might be interested. And thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you.
Hi.
It's really bad.
I'm a resident, Bob Curley, and I'm not here representing youth soccer. I've been put out to pasture. I've been a player, a coach, a referee, a commissioner of the youth soccer, and I was on the board of Yellow Springs Soccer, Inc. As president 10 to 15 years ago when we gifted the schools approximately $130,000 to improve the fields. So I just want to make the board here aware of the fact that, of course, we're invested in the property. We understand it's not our property to make decisions upon, but I think it's important that you understand that. And we have been approached by members of the school board about the possibility of the school board looking for replacement soccer fields. And I'm pleased with that offer. However, I think it does need to go, it needs to be a little more concrete, in our opinion, to sway us. Again, I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody but myself, but to sway the youth soccer people to endorse this, to endorse the rezoning. Okay? I appreciate the opportunity to talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Hi, my name is Debbie Downey. I'm a local resident. And as we know, the Yellow Springs soccer fields is green space that once impinged upon, given up, rezoned, cannot be retrieved. For a number of generations, young children to middle school age youth have learned to play soccer there. It's also a community gathering space for adults to come together to establish new relationships and strengthen old ones. Similarly, our sons, well, I have two sons who played soccer. They also played baseball at Gaunt Park. And so part of what I'm wondering is if we wouldn't consider rezoning Gaunt Park, which is a major community and play space for our youth, why are we considering rezoning and giving up our green space beside the schools? Particularly when there is other land available in Yellow Springs for affordable housing. In some ways, Glen Helen and the soccer fields by the high school kind of form bookends for our community and form that green space. And so erecting hard surfaces such as buildings, parking lots, and the like will forever change the overall feel of the village soccer fields. Fields that are now soft and green, bordered by trees. It's a place that feels kind of cozy, and it's a place for community building. I think community building and green space are some of our community priorities that should be considered along with affordable housing. And so I urge you to refrain from and decline to rezone the Yellow Springs soccer fields. Thank you. Any questions for me?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Jeff Campbell, resident. I'd also like to request that you shelve this idea of rezoning this until you actually get a loan approved if this low-income housing is going to go forward, because as far as when I understand, it hasn't even been applied for yet. You're talking about something that may not happen for years or any time in the near future. There's no sense in rezoning something that you may have to rescind it in any time in the near future because of various things that are going on. But I wish you would just, if you're thinking about rezoning it, wait until you at least have a firm plan of what's going to happen with the property instead of going ahead and doing it and putting the cart before the horse and getting something done that may not even need to be happening. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Jackie Hempling. So just don't want to, it's been referred to that there would be many hoops to jump through before this project could be successful. One of those, the most major hoops being recruiting a, now of course the acronym is Community Housing Development Organization, which, as you know, was attached to this project previously before they pulled out, basically having come to the conclusion that Yellow Springs would never support a project like this. The rezoning of this land is basically necessary in order to prove to larger affordable housing developers that Yellow Springs actually does favor affordable housing. Otherwise, they are not willing to put their time and energy into this sort of project. As you're probably also aware, the low-income housing tax credit program creates most of the affordable family housing in Ohio, and this parcel is one of very few that scored highly enough to be competitive for that state grant money, which I don't think the number's been said yet, so I'll say it, $15 to $20 million. Basically, well, we can all have ideas of, well, but why couldn't we put affordable housing somewhere else? The thing is that ultimately we need that state grant money, and this is one of the few places that could potentially score highly enough to get that state grant money. And I, of course, also, as a person that grew up here, played soccer there. It's a great place, but luckily, there's other areas, and I feel like I'm getting the eyes that I should sit down. But in any case, thank you very much for your time. Affordable housing is very important.
Your time's not up, I don't think.
Oh, maybe I'm just getting nervous. Anyway.
You saw 37.
Thank you very much. And I guess either way, I'll be speaking to this again when it gets to council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I actually want to speak. My name is Sam Senzik. I am a resident. I had no intentions of speaking tonight, but I keep hearing people talk about green space. And it it kind of made me feel called to say something. So I actually moved here in 2011. I was one of the first students when Antioch reopened. Thanks. I am a working class person. I grew up well under the poverty line. I grew up on a potato farm in northern Maine. And when I first moved here, I was working on the Antioch farm. And I don't know if anybody here remembers how contentious that was. At the first council meeting I ever came to was about the farm, and I spoke as a student representative. And my first impression of Yellow Springs came from that meeting, and my first impression of Yellow Springs was that it was extremely hostile to working class people because of the way that people responded to the farm and the need, like it was couched in this talk about green space. But like, I don't really understand what green space is. Like, we have so much of that here, you know? And it is space used by people, and Yellow Springs is not accessible to working class people, and this project is hopefully to make it more accessible to like the people who do the working class jobs that like keep this community being what it is. I'm a server here. I have been for like 14 years, so sorry I get nervous about public speaking. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, I'm Brianne Fowler. I am a resident. I've been a resident for 4 years. So I've been a part of the community for 4 years. My daughter goes to the Community Children's Center, so I do love this community and a lot that it stands for. The only way that I'm able to be a part of this community is because I am lucky enough to be in a program where I have affordable housing. So I'm all for it, obviously. There's people who, you know, working people of this community who cannot be residents of this community. And I think that's definitely something that needs to be looked at. Someone said earlier that bringing more people into the community would, you know, tarnish it, like what it stands for, like the politeness. And I can say, like, I grew up around, like, in neighboring areas, like Fairborn and Dayton and stuff like that. And it's very different from here, and that's why I love it here. But I didn't grow up like that. I didn't grow up like this, Yellow Springs community. I didn't grow up like this, but when I got here, it was very easy for me to transition. It's almost like it was something I was always looking for. So I wouldn't count it out, like bringing new people into the community either, because I think anyone can change, you know, not polite, now polite. So, yeah. But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be here without the assistance, and my daughter wouldn't be here without the assistance. And I also was working here as well, so I was also a worker. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
That's good.
Hello, my name is Matt Raska, and I have been a resident of Yellow Springs since 2015. Before that, I'd moved 7 times between 4 different states, and this is the longest I've ever lived in one place. And I'm really happy to be part of this community, the connections and friendships that I've found here in my home of Yellow Springs. In rezoning this parcel, we take one step forwards, not just towards a low-income housing tax credit, but towards the biggest opportunity Yellow Springs has ever had to make good on its commitment to affordable housing. This project is an opportunity to share our abundant comfort our abundant opportunities, and our overflowing good fortune to live here. We in this room are very lucky. We are not working tonight. Downtown, the shops are buzzing, the restaurants are busy, and the village hums along. It's the clerks, servers, cooks, and village crews that make all of this possible. These are the working class people that make our town, and who often cannot afford to live here, as aforementioned, without a little bit of assistance. In making more room, we make it possible for these people that make our lives joyful and easy to be part of that joy and that ease. By taking this concrete step forward towards fulfilling our commitment to affordable housing, words with sometimes unclear meaning, we make it more clear that we are willing to share and enrich our community, connections, and friendship with others. Please vote yes on rezoning this parcel to residential C. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, Dino Pilata, Dino's Cappuccinos, and a resident. One thing with what was mentioned, I too am a working person that works at my business 7 days a week, 364 days a year, there bright and early every morning, every day. So I understand what it is for working people that have to work here, because I do it daily, and it's a grind, and we all have to do it, and it's just part of our character, part of our makeup in Yellow Springs. Due to Greene County's ECS interest in purchasing Yellow Springs school property, several questions have come up. We want to address that because it's more procedural issues that I'm going to be talking about. Village Council has since paused the investigation and spending of taxpayer money in order to find out more information from ECS and what they want to do. ESC, I'm sorry. Some of the questions that are coming up. Why is this property even coming up for rezoning at this point in time when council has paused and it needs more information? At this point, rezoning should be tabled until further information is gathered. Question 2, since Greene County ESC is now interested in this property, why are we pushing forward to rezone it when we don't have enough information? If ECS should purchase it, would we then have to rezone it back to its original form? Question 3, in all likelihood, some organization is going to have to submit a housing plan for a PUD on this property. Again, why are we pushing forward on rezoning when we don't have enough information yet? Question 4, why is this council and now this body answering the school board on this issue? Again, the tail is wagging the dog with not enough information for you to make an informative decision. Lastly, the school board and the village have put Yellow Springs Kids Secondary to this potential housing project, and now the school board and village, and now you guys are potentially looking at now Greene County students secondary to this project. These actions may affect the entire county, and you don't have enough information to proceed in rezoning this property at this point in time. Please table it. The village council has paused, and you should too. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hello. I'm April Wolfe. I'm a resident and graduate of Antioch from '92, as there are a few other graduates in the room. I'm also a business owner here, and I'm also on the board of Home Inc., but tonight I speak to you as a citizen, so not as a board member of Home Inc. And I want to speak in favor of the rezoning, as it is an important, as many other people have mentioned here, housing in Yellow Springs is becoming more expensive. The cost is increasing, it is not decreasing. So it's not becoming more affordable, even though our volume is growing. Yellow Springs Home Inc. has made some progress in terms of providing housing for our seniors through the Cascades projects and other projects, and some for single families through the home projects that we've had. But one of the tough nuts to crack is rental properties for working class people. This project, this LIHTC project that we're working towards, is a unique opportunity to get, as others have said, $15 to $20 million in support of 50 units of family rental housing. The resolution before you will take us one step closer to the realization of that possibility of these rental units. And so I encourage you to rezone. Again, I support that. And know that, with 50 families, that is in the benefit of the village. It's towards one of the village's high priorities in terms of affordable housing, and also will bring more children to the school district and working class people to make our community more diverse, which in fact is also changing the landscape of that. As we talk about how our community is changing, the more expensive our housing becomes, the more homogeneous it becomes. So thank you for considering this. I appreciate the hard work that you guys do, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak? Sure, come forward.
My name is Molly Finch, and I am not a resident of Yellow Springs. I'm a wannabe resident of Yellow Springs. And like Dino, with all due respect, I am a business owner in town. Until very recently, well, until a few months ago, I wasn't. I was a service industry worker downtown, and I realized that the only path for me to actually live in town was to leave the service industry and start my own business. It's very different to say that now I work 7 days a week, all day, for my own business, knowing that I have a path forward to more housing security. It's working really well, but not everyone can be in that economic niche, and the town depends on the people who hold it together, who are the people showing up and actually working in the service industry jobs, not just the people who own the businesses. And in the time that I was at the Emporium, it was really rare for the people I worked with to be able to afford to live in this town. Now it's really important to me as a business owner to be able to pay people twice as much as what we were offered at the Emporium, just to make sure that the people who I'm hiring can live in town. I'm still on my own path to trying to live here because my goal is ultimately to buy a home. And in the past year that I've been looking at a particular property, I've watched that property value go up $100,000, and it's still not quite accessible. So even taking strides toward more personal economic security, which not everyone can be pursuing that because the town depends on people who are just in service industry jobs as well. I can say that it's still really challenging, even having a partner who's a director level at a national nonprofit, even being a business owner. It's still really difficult to live in this town because each month the property values are going up. Each month the rental costs are going up. So I do see that there is still a need for more affordable housing, and this isn't the whole issue that's on the table right now. It's just one tiny piece to help move it forward, and that's all that we're asking for tonight, is just one vote that helps make this more of a possibility so that we can continue moving forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward now. Okay, if I don't see anybody else, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any discussion among commission members? Okay, if not, then I am going to move that we recommend that council approve this rezoning. Is there a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Judy.
Zaremski.
Yes.
Osterholm.
Come back to me. I'm still thinking.
Okay. DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Osterholm. Excuse me.
Yes.
Stiles.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, it has been approved. Next thing on our agenda is new business. Any other new business? Agenda planning.
Yeah, we have 2 conditional uses for transient guest lodging and another minor subdivision application for October 15th.
October 15th. And that's, we got a notice from Judy that our meeting will be the 3rd Tuesday in
The
October.
19th or something like that, yeah.
15th. Yeah, October 15th.
15th. third Tuesday.
I would like to say, though, when we have a light workload, maybe, one thing we got to do, I would like to be able to talk about the food truck.
Talk about what?
Food trucks again.
Okay.
When we have a light schedule, not when we have a heavy
Next
schedule.
time, maybe, is it going to be light, do you think, the next meeting? So we don't think we're going to have the
I'm trying to think of
student union property.
Oh, right. So we are going to have to schedule a work session for the Windsor Student Union, and I think that will probably be in the next couple of weeks. Johnny and I haven't even looked at, they resubmitted plans to us. We haven't looked at them yet. We have time tomorrow set aside to look at it. So it won't be on that same.
It won't be in October.
Right.
So we have the transient guest lodging, and what was the other, a minor subdivision?
Yeah, there's 2 transient guest lodgings.
And a minor subdivision. So would we have time then to talk about the food trucks?
Oh, I'd move it, if we got something like that, I'd move it down to another one then, because what, they already got 3 on that one already.
Okay, so wait for the food trucks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, when we have a lighter one, because you know how the Airbnbs can be, some can be short, but other ones can get into long.
Scott, if you wouldn't mind sending to me just a little bit about what you'd like to discuss, that way we can decide whether that's something that Meg needs to prep for, and if it's not, we can put it on the agenda and it can just bump. And but if we get time, we can pick it up.
Yeah, I'll send you an email probably over the weekend between my South Carolina and Steelers playing.
Could you share that around? Because I thought we had talked about it the last meeting. I'd be happy to add to it. I mean,
questions.
I think
Yeah, pretty much like how many planning in general.
Okay. Then we have the agenda planning. Then I move we adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.